And we're live, and this is Engage Me Academy in Amarillo, Texas, and this is one, which is called City on a Hill.
Good morning, and welcome to not only our colleagues that have been here with us this week, but any visiting administrators that might have joined us for our presentations today. I would first of all like to impress upon you our purpose with what we're doing, and that is to show to you, to inform you the effective educational technique of project-based learning and how that can be utilized to bring your departments closer together, how that can bring as a result your students and your teachers closer together. So as we visit with you today, we will be going in and out of perspective shifts. Part of our presentation will be very similar to what it is now, me trying to talk to you about how we set up our project and its functionality and why we believe that it's an important project. But then the other aspects would be more of in the classroom, as if I am the teacher teaching you as the student for this lesson, and even further into it with a student perspective. So we'll be switching in and out of hats, if you will. We would like to begin, first of all, with our entry event to the project and kind of how we came up with the idea of the City on the Hill. So you're going to need to be imaginative with us for a few moments and enjoy the idea of the utopia. As a new world is coming, we will be chosen to create it. Fox's new groundbreaking social experiment is searching for pioneers to become the first inhabitants of utopia. Will it be ultimate happiness or complete chaos? It will all depend on you. We anticipated we might have a problem. So let's pull it up here.
This fall, television's biggest, most groundbreaking social experiment is coming to Fox. Utopia. From acclaimed producer John Hall.
This is the most purest form of reality I have ever produced in my career.
No family. No food. No hate. 15 everyday people will dedicate a year of their lives to build a dream society.
It's a fresh start, like a restart button on life.
Everyone's dream is not the same.
My utopia is a place where everyone gets along.
Just play music, party, and just socialize.
I believe strongly in being a productive member of society.
I would love to be the president. All presidents so far have been men, and none of them have been able to balance the budget.
I think a woman should run Utopia.
I don't believe in monogamy.
Grew up as a Muslim.
I believe Jesus died for my sins.
I would immediately eliminate any kind of religion.
You get to be there for every step of the journey. More than 200 crew members, over 3 acres of land, and hundreds of cameras streaming 24/7 for 52 straight weeks to catch all the drama of a growing society, including the arrival of new pioneers.
I can't wait to get started.
When they descend into chaos or realize their dream.
No laws,
The ones we write.
No comfort.
but the ones we build.
No leaders, but the ones we elect.
Utopia, coming this fall
So there'll be life-changing, world-changing experiences.
on Fox.
All right, fantastic. What we will do with this is how we plan on initiating our unit. We're going to play the video trailer for our students, and once we've done that, we're going to talk to them about the fact that your goal is to create a utopia. We're going to be working with the history department very closely and the English departments, and from there, towards the end, if we have time, you'll see how I could easily stem into psychology and philosophy and world geography and math and science. But the idea behind this is to have the students feel the sense of urgency that the global environment in which we live now is constantly changing. There are no guarantees for our future, whether it's earthly disasters or war scenarios that might develop. things are going to change. And they will become those pioneers who are responsible for the future that we will eventually inhabit. So as a result of that, we show them the video, we get them intrigued with the idea of utopia, talk to them about their expectations or things that they noticed in the video. But then we get to a very solemn moment where we reach the concept of the lottery. And I don't know if any of you are familiar with the short story by Shirley Jackson by the same title, but we want to take that kind of solemnity and bring it into this. The process of our lottery is going to be not really a celebration, but a ceremony would be the correct word, of how their voice has now vanquished. And they are not who they once were. They have no choice in that. Their identity is gone. And so we will read them this scenario. Imagine that life as you know it is about to change forever. Your voice will be removed. Your hopes will follow the needs of others. You will live in a world where the individual does not exist. You are a segment, a piece, a building stone of the future. The time has come where you will stand and enter into the sacred space. You will draw from the drawing box. Inside, your future awaits, one in which you have no part in deciding. You will pull forth a stone marked with a color and a number. The number will identify you as a new member of one of the 3 social networks striving to create the perfect utopia for survival. To do this, you must follow the place within that network that you have been told to contribute. Political, economic, social, education, or the arts and intellectual. Few of you will have the opportunity of the latter. And once the ritual lottery has taken place, you will begin your new journey. Your voiceless character will begin to find a new voice, a new belonging, a new strand of hope. Good luck. And then from there, they finally get their guiding prompt. We didn't want to throw the guiding prompt or the driving question on them too early. We felt that we needed to get the atmosphere set for this project because it's going to be an intensive project. In the history realm, it will probably last 4 weeks, but in the English realm, it's going to last closer to 8 weeks because of the literature that's embedded. So once we've arrived to the driving question, this is what the students will receive. Your challenge in a group of 3 to 5 members is to create a thriving utopia. To do this, you must focus on the 5 elements of society. Those were those that were included in that lottery segment. They come from Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Your society will be judged by a team of specialists who will determine the fate of your existence and the winner of the project. You will have 10 minutes to present to the specialist the dynamics of the community, using the next several weeks to prepare and create a functional society that ensures all areas of the social needs being met. May the odds ever be in your favor. And once we've gone over the requirements, Ms. Pettit, were you going to go over those for us?
Yes. We studied closely as we were developing this unit as to what does a society absolutely have to function properly. And looking at Maslow's hierarchy of needs and some other theory about social and cultural structure, these were the 5 areas that we came up with. We also didn't want to overwhelm our students because this can easily become an overwhelming project for them. And so we came up with the areas of the political, the economic, social, education, and the arts. And so these areas, they would be looking at to how would their society function in each one of those ways. We wanted to kind of leave it wide open so they can take it in any direction that they choose. And of course, they're going to learn how societies work together because not all members of the group will agree, and so they have to come up with compromise. And so just the way that the group structure is set up, they're practicing all of these things in themselves. And so it's, whether they realize it or not, they're practicing citizenship skills that they're going to need when they become citizens.
The timeline will vary depending on the history or the department in which you're in. So you'll start very quickly with that entry event, which will be same for all groups. The lottery perspective will hold in the literature department because that's where the final product will come through. The driving question, the historical perspectives, the creation of the historical attempts, which our historian Sue is going to visit with you about in just a moment, and then look at the geographical influences and move down to those elements and just slowly maneuver through a very in sync timeline so that all of the disciplines that are working together, now this is a secondary level project, but so that the disciplines know where they need to hit their particular aspect of the project so that there are no overlaps for concern. Ms. Historian?
Okay, I call this background information for City on a Hill. According to Robert Vine, utopias are a group of people who are attempting to establish a new social pattern based upon a vision of the ideal society and who have withdrawn themselves from the community at large to embody that vision in experimental form.
One day, this nation will rise day. This nation will rise up, live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will they be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream. My poor little children one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream.
Is that this little segment? Yeah, it had glanced off and we couldn't see the time at all. Ms. Pettit, very briefly, if you want to discuss just the literature component so that we can end our time.
Okay, well, I apologize about the time. We would have students publish their information about their society, their utopian society. This particular student example used Lucid Press. It's an online publishing software. They go in, they introduce their society. This group chose one called Reverie, and it is based, it's a dual society. Part of the society would be virtual, meaning they would be completely immersed in a multiplayer online environment. But of course, they can't just stay there. And so on the other side of the physical side, they would have a very simple environment. And so each slide talks about each area that they needed to address. And they would have the option of either presenting this as we are presenting it to you, and with the option of having actual printed materials to show their panel of judges. If the students would have liked to have also created a 3D representation of any of the part of the society, they could have done that too. We really want to leave it kind of wide open and let their imaginations take hold and kind of show us what they're capable of thinking and developing and creating.
So April, you made that with Lucid Press?
Yes.
That's really beautiful.
Thank you. It's after I got over the initial of, oh my gosh, this is so new, I don't know what any of this is, once you really sit down and look at it, it's no different than if you were working with Prezi or even PowerPoint, because it's just creating the slides. I used a template, so it was just me changing out font, or changing font, text, imagery. Of course, during the 3 weeks in the classroom that the students would actively be working on this project, we would hold workshops so that students could learn these new types of applications. I also played around with Canva. That was really awesome too. So it was just picking which one that I wanted to use. But this one allows you to publish online, and you can also print it as well. So it gives the students several options as to what they wanted to do.
Yeah, and we used Wix for our house simply because we noticed that there was a phone app that could be attached to that that's called Wix Pics, so that any of the photos that you might want to use on your website, you can just quickly take with those cell phones and then have access to them and do editing and creating on the phone, not just being limited to a tablet or a computer. Cool. So students that don't have some of the upper level technology can still assume portions of the project.
All right, thank you very much, City on a Hill. So don't forget to evaluate this team while the next team gets connected up there. So our next team is going to be Seuss's Selfies. That was fine. It was all good.
Yeah, to go from the time thing. I would really like to see them, but we're going to be able. We'll be able to.
Yeah, you'll be able to see them.
Okay.
Yeah, and all the links will be there too. So go to your doctor's appointment and hope everything goes well.
We had some really cool stuff. I wish we could have shown more of the Wix, but that was one of the things that we didn't anticipate. So we still had trouble, like before everything went, all the videos popped up and everything worked fine, and then all of a sudden it didn't. So I'm not really sure. I think it's our computer.
Oh, maybe.
If it is just.
Well, it looks beautiful. Your site turned out really great, and so did your Lucid Press.
Thank you.
Yeah. So have a good appointment. All right, is everybody finished evaluating City on a Hill? All right, good. All right, our next team is Seuss's Selfies. Are you guys ready?
Yes.
Okay, are you ready, Allison?
Yes. And I think we fixed it, so I won't go to sleep.
Sorry,
it did go to sleep. And I'll keep my eye on it.
All right, go ahead, guys.
All right, I'm Tangela Copeland from Fort Elliott Consolidated Independent School District.
I'm Pradina Grantham from Hereford Independent School District, and I teach English, Language Arts, and Reading.
I'm Morgan Moore, and I'm from Nazareth ISD, and I teach math and Algebra 1.
I'm Megan Warren. I'm a 6th and 7th grade English teacher at Pampa.
I'm Tyna Horn. I teach at Fort Elliott CISD. I teach high school English 9 through 12 and dual credit and 1-act play. And this is my daughter.
Okay. When we were deciding how to do this, we wanted to make sure that it was very, very literal to our students and connecting to their real world. Selfie. How you view yourself is your world view. Do you believe that? We want the students to use the literature by Dr. Seuss to analyze and decide on the social issues that are located in whichever poem they choose or book. They are to decide on those issues specifically. No two groups will use the same selection. And face it, we all have issues. And we want our students to be able to address them, analyze them, and deal with them and resolve that issue. So that was the purpose of this.
Okay, before we take a look at the poems that all of us have decided would be good ones for the students to be able to use for this project, I want to tie in the math end of it a little bit because it was kind of hard when we first started. We were like, English and math, that's going to be difficult. But when we started doing this, we decided we wanted to take a poll at the end of this and really get to see the various different diversities within the group of upcoming 6th graders we're going to be polling. And I don't think we've mentioned yet, this will be 7th graders doing this project. So we thought having the 5th graders come over, going into 6th grade, it'll be great. They can, you know, just kind of get to be at the junior high and kind of get to know themselves. So we're going to take the polling, the students will, and kind of look at it statistically and see if there's any outliers and look at the diversity of the polling and just kind of see, just analyze the data. And then the STAR test, there's a lot of questions now in math that deal with which graph would best represent this information given. So what better way to practice that than let the students go ahead and use the data and put it into a graph if they decide to do a line plot or a pie chart, and just kind of let them analyze the data their own and put it into place. So now that we've kind of discussed that, let's go ahead and take a look at the poems that we decided would be beneficial for the students to look at. And as we look at the poems, I'm going to go ahead and tell you the social issues that we thought went along with the poem. Now, when we do give these to the students, we're not going to give them the social issue. That's something we would like for them to come up with on their own. But for today's sake, we went ahead and kind of showed you what we came up with. So for the Lorax, we decided it was pollution, and I think we can all agree there's probably more than just pollution there. Sneetches, we had cultural differences. For Horton Hears a Who, the social issue there was conformity. I think that's big for junior high kids. Gertrude McFuzz is self-image. How the Grinch Stole Christmas would be materialism. Hooray for, and you're going to have to help me with this. Diffendorfer Day would be differences. You're only old once, that would be elderly. And then I Wish I Had Duck Feet, that would be dealing with disabilities. We also came up with If I Ran the Zoo, we thought that would be another good poem for the students to look at. That deals with socialism. And then we have Yertle the Turtle with bullying. And then The Cat in the Hat, which deals with democracy.
Next, we did an example of a summary the students could do. We chose Gertrude McFuzz.
Gertrude McFuzz is a plain bird with one simple blue tail feather. She becomes jealous of Lola Lelu, a bird with many beautiful and colorful tail feathers. Gertrude's uncle, Dr. Date, gives Gertrude a berry pill which will allow her tail to grow another tail feather. However, Gertrude decides to take an excess of her pills in order to have more tail feathers than Lola, hoping that when Lola sees her, she will drop dead. Gertrude grows so many feathers that she becomes too heavy to fly. Now she's not a bird at all. Dr. Day and some small birds do an intervention with Gertrude and remove all of her excess tail feathers that are robbing her of her ability to fly. In the end, Gertrude realizes that she is unique and special with her one feather. She learns an important lesson. Her one feather allows her to be the bird she was created to be.
Our team chose to have the 7th graders present to the upcoming 7th graders. However, this can be adapted to higher grades or lower grades. because we really truly believe that all of our students today are in a crisis situation. Even adults are in a crisis situation sometimes. We want the students to use the literature so that they can understand how English works, reading comprehension, integrating, analyzation, evaluation to be at the top of the blooms. So this is the reason we've chosen this. Also, the local newspaper will be called. They'll be invited to capture these moments with our students and go on a journey with us. These are the steps. Now this is our driving question. Can students learn to recognize and resolve social issues or social conflicts through analyzing literature? We do think that's a challenge for our students today. Wouldn't you agree? This is our video showing all of the selections.
How bad can I be? I'm just doing what comes naturally. How bad can I be? I'm just following my destiny. How bad can I be? I'm just doing what comes naturally. How bad can I be? How bad can I possibly be?
And this was created through Animoto. We tried to incorporate as much technology as possible. We want it to be technology dependent.
I'll make mine short and sweet. We're also going to have a blog to where they can go on and discuss the various issues that come along. We're also going to make sure that we invite people to respond to them on the blog that are in the public that would help them understand other people's views.
There were ELA standards and math standards that were covered, and we list those that we pulled out and knew that they would cover. Also, the grading system and expectations would be explained to the students before the project begins. The house that we used is Wix, and the tools that we used are listed. We used numerous technology tools, and these same tools would be accessible for the students to use. And I did learn a lot about technology during this time.
Good, glad to hear it.
I look around, I think I'm the oldest one here, so probably I'll learn the most. Each team would have a self-evaluation system in place, not only at the conclusion, but throughout. Teams would meet periodically with the teacher for mini lessons, and I liked the term using workshops for them. During that time, it would be used during, and so that you could help them with their time management. There would be short writing assignments pertaining to the literature they chose. The project is for 7th grade, but it would also target upcoming 6th graders. We felt that this literature was appropriate for this age group because they do struggle with some of these issues, including self-concept and confidence. And I think that this would be a good thing to do at the beginning of the year because it would establish for them a connection with the classroom, and maybe the atmosphere would be friendly and inviting, and it would give them a good start to the school year. Are there any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our son is going to be a 7th grader starting out this year, and I would love to see him do that project.
I would love to teach him.
I would love for you to teach him. All right, I can see you guys are already evaluating Seuss's selfies. So don't forget to do that if you weren't doing it already. And our next team is going to get set up, and it's Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. And you know what? That thing somebody has drawn on the screen over there.
I got it.
Did you erase it?
Yes.
How did you do it?
It's this little stylus strip, that little arrow. You can clear it. Okay. Good for you for thinking of that.
It's been bugging me the whole time. I'm going to clear that next time and not forget. Yes, avoid the fly.
Wow.
Okay, we've got about 10 more people who need to evaluate Seuss's selfies, and then we'll be ready to go with Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. All right, you guys can start when you're ready.
Okay, is this on? Everybody can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. How's everybody doing today? Great. All right, when we chose this is about helping hungry children. If you've ever been a teacher in the classroom and you went into the cafeteria, you always see the one student that hurries and shovels in the food as much as they can and goes back for seconds. Or you're in line to get your own tray and you notice that the cafeteria lady has the one child that did the extra serving to. All right, we do have a hunger problem. And a lot of times the teachers are not aware of it. The community may be aware of it, but they don't really know everybody that is included with. We started Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs because it is a story about food. You know, everybody gets a chance at picking what they want for the day, and it comes straight out of the clouds. How wonderful would that be? Okay, we centered this on age groups of 5 and 6. This is created by Tammy Ammons, Lisa Johnson, Kayla Howard, and Shelly Allen. We're short one person today, but this is Tammy Ammons and Lisa Johnson. Okay, I'm going to take this, so I'm not so nervous with everybody. I'm going to take this like I'm going to introduce this to my classroom. Okay, so I'm going to walk up the stage. Hey kids, how you doing today? Great! Yes, Ms. Howard's having coffee today. It's going to be a good morning. Okay, look what we have here today. We've got some news. All right, let's read this there. What's going on? Dear students, it has come to the attention of Lipscomb County Commissioners that we have a great need in our community. The number of hungry children is on the rise in our area. Whoa, I didn't know we had hungry children in our area. We're asking you to come up with a plan of action to present to the board that will solve the problem of feeding these children during the weekends. You have 3 weeks to prepare a plan of action to different boards in the area. When you are ready to present, contact my office and we will set up a time and place for your presentation. Sincerely, Judge Willis. Wow. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Whoa, wait. I know you got questions. Hang on. Hang on. All right, let's open your computers right now. Let's get into the Padlet. Okay? All right, type in your questions you have right now. I want to see what everybody's thinking. Great. And just like we prepared, if you're too shy and you don't want to put your name, I see some of you have used your character names. We have Kinsey. Who gets to help volunteer? Okay. We go down to Alec, and he says, do we really have a need for this in our county? And we may have some kids ask, well, what really is a hungry child? Who qualifies for that? Is it just homeless? Is it someone that just came across from the border? Who qualifies for this? What makes a hungry child? Okay, so we have someone that is automatically says, okay, we need to get into groups. You're going to get into the groups we've assigned. We've done a project like this before. They sit down, and I said, go find out what makes a hungry child. How do we know that someone is going hungry? Okay, and then we have a student that finds this website. And with all technology, we tend to buffer. And more buffer. Okay, when we find out, we get to the end of the video, it proves that anybody can become a person that has a need for food. And our economic status today, with the jobs that happen today, with unemployment up and down and having to go from one place to another, we've even had a family before that the dad took a job somewhere else, he got there, and then there was a rift. You know, you use all your savings to move to a new town, and then all of a sudden it's all gone and you do not have a job. It doesn't take long before your status becomes the low economic or even homeless situation. So I asked the kids, I said, okay, how are we going to help? Is this something that we can do? How are we going to help? Well, they all start raising their hands, you know, and I said, okay, we're going to go back to our Padlet, okay, and we're going to decide how we're going to group our questions together.
It did this right way around, sorry guys.
It's all your fault.
Just go back to the contract. Okay, once we decide each group what they're going to work on, what issues they're going to look at, we go into the group contract. We get settled with the students exactly how they're going to handle it, what the expectations are. They list what role they're going to play within their group. Okay. After we're done with the group contract, we're going to talk about evaluations. The evaluation is going to let the children know right away that everybody is going to have to play a part of this. This can't be just one child. Okay, I know the child that talks a lot is going to do all the talking and telling all about it, and the one child that loves the internet is going to come find all the internet, but they're all going to have to play a part. They're going to have to find the gift within the group, and they're going to have to play that part. Now, for the teacher to know that each person is playing this part, we're going to set up journals. A journal can be a video diary. It can be just a plain journal, depending on the technology you have at your school. And these journals need to be turned in at the end of each day for the teacher to look at to see what the group is doing.
You're ready.
Okay. Now, as we proceed and we get ready for our presentations, the children also have a question about how are we going to contact these people. And they're going to have to do through flyers, we're going to have to go through the newspaper, we're going to have to get the newspaper involved. They're going to have to put it on the school website, we're going to have to put it on the marquee in order for everybody to know that we're going to have a day where we're going to have a free luncheon for children to come and join our group. We're going to have an activity director that can read the books, you know, cloudy with a chance of meatballs. They can have arts and crafts to draw these kids to want to come. Because not everybody's going to want to come if they think it's just a handout, you know, or if their parents might be ashamed, they may not take their children up there. Those that are really in need are going to come, but we want to reach out to everybody, even to those that, you know, have a little bit of pride left. We want them to come, we want them to be there. Okay, now at the end of the process, we want to know what the children evaluate themselves. This was a video that a student put together of what they learned, and this is after we go through the process, after we've been to the committee. We take this to the committee. This won't be done in the classroom. You will actually have to go to the courthouse, you will have to go before the city board, you will have to go to the churches, and you will have to ask them for your help. You will have to contact the High Plains Food Bank and get all these people involved. This will end up being a community project. Now once you set the day, you get the kids out there, they fed, they've had a great time, you come back to the classroom and you ask individual kids, now what did you learn? And this is the video one of the girls put together. And these facts are correct. This is actually what happens in Lexington County. Okay. This shows the pictures that the kids took with their cameras, put it into the video. Now, we have other resources. Go ahead and stop that. Okay, now you ask, all right, with a project like this, what TEKS can be used? When you go back and look, we've had health, social studies, math. It includes the language arts when you get into presenting your flyers, doing your advertising, or I said social studies. These are TEKS skills. The evaluation process, the teacher evaluates the journals, so you have a daily grade. Then you have the journal grade that the children do at the end, and they evaluate the people in their team. And then we have a rubric. The rubric is when you go to the council meetings, the rubric is handed out to the council members, and they grade the performance and the plan itself. So not only does the teacher grade it, the children self-evaluate themselves, and then they see how it is graded amongst the community. So they see if it has made an impact, and then they go and present it to the community, and it's performed. It is a great project for kids to do. It gives them a deal of self-worth, along with learning any other TEKS skills that we need for the year. Does anybody have any questions?
What grade levels are doing this project again?
5th and 6th.
5th and 6th graders.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So,
And it can, once they do the footwork, it can be, the actual going out and feeding the kids. You can get all kinds of.
So you guys there are a couple of people who evaluated you guys, and they thought you were talking about 5 and 6 year olds.
Because you said that at the beginning, of the presentation, you said 5 and 6 year olds.
So I'm going to delete.
Totally good.
I'm going to delete those 2 evals. So thanks guys for putting in your comments, because without that I wouldn't have known that's what that's what you guys heard, and of course you're going to evaluate accordingly. So I'm going to delete just those 2, and the other ones look like they understood your presentation, and it's very exciting. I hope you guys really follow through with this and do it, and I think it would be, don't you think your kids are going to really love helping their community like this?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
For the what? PK. Oh, that was a video we pulled from Hot Plains Student.
Oh, okay. It was on YouTube. We just.
It looks kind of like Powtoon, though. I mean, I think they probably, whoever made that video.
Yeah, and then I found it on YouTube also.
Yeah.
But there's one that's locally for that Panhandle area, and then there's one that's
Sorry, just the general issues, guys.
general United States.
Well, y'all made it work. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thanks, team. All right, our next team is Chariots. And I'm going to take a real short break, so don't start without me. And don't forget to evaluate Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. We've got about 10 more evaluations that will come in for them before we move on.
I'm standing here, so that's why I can't because it was like almost college. what's down in there. And I'm looking out and I realize that I am younger than all my students by 10 years, maybe by 20 or 30. So really, you have to have 8 pages of lecture notes. And I said, no. And they're probably, well, I'm sure they're going to be like, okay, that's what we get. This, just want this as my classroom. Hello. Principal comes in, he's like, "Can you move that thing around like daily?" It's like, it'd be nice if it was in one spot.
Wow, there's going to be dancing too?
Only the drama teacher.
Dance class. I had 2-year graduating.
We all want to work at the same school.
We're gonna just start a school.
Hey, that's
We'll have kindergarten, second grade, third grade, and high school, and that's it.
Put that in your charter application.
You have to be these ages.
Be like, why? Well, because we have this one project.
We got it.
We got a cool teacher.
We've got 4 teachers. We can only have 72 students.
So we might be a little selective.
Limited budget.
All right, is everybody back from the bathroom?
Yes. I don't know if anybody went.
Oh, yeah, we were there. All right, y'all ready? Okay, let's go.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Lauren Holson. I am a theater teacher and one act play director in prose, poetry, all that fun stuff. My name is Rebecca Coggins. I teach 3rd grade. I'm Brittany Shaka. I teach 2nd grade.
I'm Regina Galliard, and I taught kindergarten. Teach kindergarten.
And like we mentioned, we're all from different schools, so it made this project really fun. So to kind of give you an idea, this is not high quality, so this is our entry event. Don't judge. Don't. Stop it.
Hello, Austin Elementary School students. I am Goldie Winningston, and I am the Olympic Games Committee Chairman. Now we've run into a bit of a problem. You see, we have nowhere to host the Olympic Games, and on top of that, we don't have any games for the competitors to compete in. So, I have a favor to ask. Do you think that you could host the Olympic Games? That's so exciting! I am so happy about that. Now, second question. Do you think that you could create games for our participants to compete in? You can? That is awesome! Okay, now here's the thing. The competitors want the games to be scientifically significant. So, you have to create games that you can force, energy, and motion about them. Do you think you can do that for me? I'm so excited.
Okay.
That was really neat.
So the idea there is that the high school theater kids would create a Skype call, because that's kind of a live performance but over technology stuff. So they would do a Skype call to the third grade students, asking for the third grade students to create the games and to host the Olympic Games. Now these are going to be 2015 and a half Olympic Games, not 2016 quite yet. But then the high school students would also create a Skype call for the second grade and kindergarten students, asking them to participate in the games. So that's kind of the idea. I was going to talk about before we would, after the initial Skype calls, for each of us it's going to take a different amount of time, because along with the initial Skype calls, the high school students are also going to perform, direct, choreograph, design the opening ceremony for the Olympic Games that will be competed in later on. So kind of the timelines for the high school, it'll be 6 weeks prior to the Skype calls. They would create that Skype call in the 6 weeks, and that would be, well, I'll talk about that later. Rewind. So anyways, we'll go into, I'll talk about the website a little bit, sorry. So the idea behind this is that this is going to be our forum to the community. We would have, ideally, a photo gallery of like students working on the projects, creating the games, videoing and practicing their Skype calls, and practicing for the opening ceremonies, and researching countries and making tickets and everything, and they'll talk about that later. But ideally, this is something that we would do in consecutive years, because it would get the second graders excited to be third graders, and then the kindergartners excited to be second graders. So just keep that going and have an Olympic Games every year and go through the same kind of project. And what we came to find out is that a ton of TEKs are covered. Now, with our timeline, this is going to be kind of a place where we would post rubrics, we would post deadlines, kind of see, so that the community could also see kind of how we're working, when things are going to happen, all that fun stuff. Now, Snack Pack for Kids, what would happen is that we would sell tickets, invite community members, school board members, teachers, parents, other students to come and attend the games. And what would happen is we would have some kind of way to buy a ticket, whether it's actual money or if it's like canned food or clothing or something. And then we would donate the proceeds to a charity that the kindergarten class would choose, because that would give them something kind of fun to vote on. And then each of us would have our own little section. We would have a blog, links to links to websites that they can use for research, videos and everything like that. And we would have the classroom blog that the students could also update as we're going along. So it's kind of a way to self-reflect. Like, oh, we did this in the first week, look how far we've come, type of thing. So, talk about all the fun stuff. Okay, so, Chariots of Fire, because my dad is the band director, so that was the first thing that came to mind. For the high school students, the first step, and it sounds like a lot of time, but it's really not. But we would do 6 weeks to create the script for the Skype call, cast the Skype call, appoint a director, appoint a designer, appoint the stage manager, and then they would get to practice and all that fun stuff. And then we would do the Skype call live during our class one day. And then after that was over, we would begin work on the opening ceremonies. So the idea is that they would be creating an original work of art, which is kind of fun. So they do all the research, get to talk a little bit about Greek theater, because the first Olympics was in Greece, and all that fun stuff. So we would be creating all of that from the high school perspective, and those are the TEKs that are covered, and that's just with Theater 1. So,
all right, for the 3rd grade, their first job is going to be to invent and design the new Olympic Games. Then they'll blog weekly on their progress. They'll go to the blog that was shown previously. Here it is again. It looks just like that. They'll have places where they can update their own progress. All right, the students will research the types of forces used in their games, and they'll present those ideas to the teacher and to their classroom peers. This information will also be presented to the kinder and 2nd grade students prior to each of the competitions. There we go. Students will, oh, I hit it too many times. Okay, students will need to post their rules and regulations at the game site as well as on their class blog. The students will also use an animated website such as Animoto or another approved site to demonstrate how their game can be played. And I put one on here, just a real simple one. They'll have time to practice this prior to what I have. I'll have more time to work on it. So this is just a quick example. They could add music to it or sound effects.
And you made this?
Yes, this would just show what they're doing.
45 minutes for 6 seconds.
All right, the students will also demonstrate how long it will take, or determine how long it will take for all of the kinder and 2nd grade students to compete in their game. Then they'll have to collaborate with the class to determine how much time should be allotted for the games in their invitations. So the little thought thing up here, if my game takes 2 minutes for each player and there are 20 total players, how much time are we going to need? All right, their next step, they'll have to send a handwritten invitation to the 2nd grade class. Each of those students will get one, but it'll have to be in cursive. The students will then, they must be able to explain to participants at the event the type of forces used as a competitor. The students must record the data, the time, place, distance, etc. of each competitor for use by the kinder and 2nd grade classes. And then these are the TEKs that are covered, and all of this we're covering science, ELA, math, social studies. It really surprised us all how many TEKs we were actually covering.
Okay, now on to 2nd grade responsibilities. The first thing, we would get those invitations from the 3rd grade, and we translate the written invitations, which I'm going to break these down in the following slides, so I'll just kind of go through them. We would select and research countries, participate in the Olympic Games, observe the games and talk about the science behind them, create graphs, present information and results, and do a news write-up of the events. So what that looks like, invitations. 2nd grade will receive the invitations from 3rd grade, written in cursive, and they will then translate those invitations and use something. I used Canva for my, translate to print, sorry. I wasn't clear on that. And use technology to send them to kindergarten. And I mean, this is simple enough. I think 2nd graders could do it. If not, we could do a little workshop. And this would be at the end of the year. So I think this was kind of simple enough. And it's just a neat way to get technology involved. Okay, and then we have the country search. Students will select a country to research, and this is done in partners. We decided partners would be best. We all work in smaller classes, like 12 students. So if we had them working in pairs instead of groups, we'll have more countries represented. The country research they do, it'll be presented after the games. They'll have to create their country's flags, and they can use computers, iPads, and encyclopedias to do the research. And I'll make a list of countries they can choose from. It won't just be them finding the countries. It'll be actual countries that participated. They can get information and present that. And then it's game time. They get to participate in the Olympic Games, and those will be recorded. And then after they are recorded, we will watch the recordings in class. And we will observe them and discuss the science behind the games. And since they're second grade, we'll probably do small group discussions, then a class discussion, you know. And we'll kind of figure out the questions like, why did they choose that game for that? How are the results measured? And just implement different things like that. And then after that, data and graphing. We'll use the results that the third grade gave us all the data, and then we'll create graphs. I am not going to limit them on what kind of graph they can make. They can do it on the computer, they can make a graph on paper, they can do a pictograph. I'm not going to limit them on that. So, and the graph will have to show the event results and then the country's results, like gold, silver, bronze, and I think, did I mention? I don't think I. Oh, they are going to, sorry. For their presentations, because this is going to be part of their presentations, which they will present at the end, but they will actually help design rubrics for this. We'll discuss what they think is important, what facts they need to include. That way they kind of have some control over that, and it's not just me saying, you do this, this, this. That way, it's more autonomy, I guess is what we were trying to achieve. And then, yes, they'll present their information, and we will put those on the website so other classes can watch them and use those. All right. Oh, I forgot about today's paper. Sorry. We will also do a write-up about the event, and they will do it in newspaper style, and there's just a template they can fill out, and it'll be printed. It wouldn't be typed or anything. Second graders don't have the best typing skills, but we'll just use a template and make like a newspaper article about what the event happened, the outcome, was it a success, all that kind of stuff. So, yes, and it'll be posted on the website. Okay, now can you.
Okay, prior to the Olympics in kindergarten, because we're so basic, we have to discuss some basics of energy, watch some videos, read some books. We'll also be exploring a lot of the materials that they'll be using in the games. We'll learn about various countries through books, videos, maps, the Reading Rainbow app on our iPads, and in our listening center we might have the book How Come, which talks about force and motion. And in preparation for the games, we'll be making the tickets to be sold for the games, which will be very simple, but it is what it is. We're going to design and create the medals to be awarded to the games, and we're going to discuss helping others and choose a charity. We're going to choose the charity that the money will go to, or the food, or whatever, however they decide to do. After the Olympics, we're going to review the games. We're going to discuss how they worked and why they worked. And then we're going to watch the video of the games again, and we're going to see if we can replicate the games back in our classroom. Then we'll write a letter to the charity with our check or telling them how our money was raised. And then we'll discuss the results of the games, like which countries won the most medals, or which events they won, things like that. Then we'll make a graph of the Olympic country. Then we'll talk about the countries, and then we're going to make a graph of the Olympic country that they would like to live in. Go ahead. And this might be what our graph would look like. Or we could also graph what our favorite game was. We do graphs all the time. Then at the end, we'll write a journal page detailing which country we would like to live in and why. And then this is all the TX that would be covered in. Just this, and we're not that involved in the project, but we still cover a lot of TX.
And that's our Olympic symbol because it's not copyrighted. But something that I just want to go over quickly, and I know we're over time, so I'm sorry. But the countries that the kindergarten and second graders are researching are the countries they would represent in the games, which is kind of a fun thing. And kind of the rubrics, Brittany talked about it a little bit, but the idea was that we would create 3 different rubrics. One would be student created. One would be a student created rubric. One would be a teacher created rubric, and then we would have the peer evaluations and have a different percentage of the grade that each of those rubrics would represent, and kind of average all of that grade together. So that was kind of our idea. It's kind of fun. We learned a lot.
Ed, any questions? Are y'all going to be able to do this project?
Not from
We don't
different
have
schools.
theater, I think with some alterations.
Yeah, I mean, we
in
can-
my school, obviously, we don't have a drama part department, we only go through 6th grade. But, you know, maybe I could do some of that stuff and we just won't have a big,
But why can't your students do this through Skype with them?
Well, I mean, we could always do the Skype call. I mean, that would be.
Yeah, you could kick off the event like that.
Yeah,
That part
kick
could
off the
happen.
event. It's just an opening ceremony.
But I see why you need to all change schools now. So.
we just need to create
Yeah.
one school.
So if there are any administrators watching today,
Just hire us all. It's fine. So, yeah, any other questions? Okay, well, thanks for your time.
thanks, guys. Yeah, everybody's saying the same thing. The kids are going to go crazy for this. You guys have to find a way to do it. All right, don't forget to evaluate chariots and while bent not broken gets set up. Okay. Thanks so much for coming.
You left your apple attachment. Your apple attachment. Oh, that's his line. Oh, I just forgot to grab it.
See, it has my name on it. That's what you do if you want to get it back again. Otherwise, you'll never see it again. Yes. All right, it looks like all the evaluations that are in for chariots. And so, bent not broken, whenever you're ready, you can go.
Try the AC wireless. Might want to try the AC wireless. Do you see that one? That what you do?
You have to have a security key. I'm on, it's just limited.
Well, why don't you go back and refresh a page and see if it'll let you log into it again? Huh.
I'm so glad it's not just me.
It looks like it's Windows 8. You're both using Windows 8. You two are the only ones who have had that. Yeah.
I'm sure this was. We'll try it. Okay. No, I think it'll work. I think it's just limited.
Okay.
You ready?
We are.
All right, you're on.
My name is Tasha Yarborough, and this is Cindy Weebrink. We're both 8th grade teachers at Blakemore Middle School, which is at Boys Ranch ISD. Cindy teaches history, and I teach English. Just a real quick background, because it's important to our project that you understand that. Boys Ranch, most of our students, 90% of our student population live in a juvenile residential facility. So most of our students do not live with their parents or guardians. They are in a home setting, living with like their classmates or high school students. So that presents some unique challenges that a regular school district may not encounter. So first we're going to show you a real short video that kind of encompasses our idea of our project.
Squishy fruit, take one.
How do you make an apple turnover? Push it down a hill.
I am down and oh my soul so weary. When troubles come and my heart burden me, then I am still and wait here in the silence till you come and sit awhile with me. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. Raise me up to more than I can be.
Now that I got some of y'all teary, I don't know how many times I've seen that video, but that father part just kills me every time. But our project name is Bent But Not Broken, and it focuses on the key concept of resilience and when you face hard times to keep pushing through. I know as teachers, that is something we see our kids constantly struggle with, is the resilience to push through. Yes, that STAR test is hard. Yes, what we're doing in class is hard, but don't give up. You can do this. And especially for our kids at Boys Ranch, it's a really important concept for them to get, because whether they realize it or not, and hopefully through this project they start to realize they have already been faced with so much more than probably any of us could imagine, and they already have the resilience built into them. So to try to get them to see it and apply it in education as well. So first we put all of our stuff in a Weebly, and that's kind of our house, and what they'll use kind of as an overview, and has their timelines and everything that will be posted on it.
We thought this was an important concept for our students at Boys Ranch because we get the kids that typically struggle the most in the classroom. These kids have all had to be resilient in their lives outside of the classroom. The difficulty often is to get these students to understand they have the resiliency already within them and to transfer those skills to the classroom. Like any middle school student, these kids often want to give up when things in school get difficult. The Bent But Not Broken project brings those struggles from the outside into the classroom to be recognized and celebrated for the impact they have on students and the strength they build. The project seeks to connect stories of resilience from characters in novels in English and figures in history with stories of resilience including our Boys Ranch, Old Tascosa community, and most importantly, connecting it to their own personal lives.
So our challenge to the students is how can learning about resilient people, characters from the past and present, including the history of our community, be a meaningful learning experience for our students. And the reason why, if you notice, we put about our community, we felt that it may sound limiting, but it's very important for our students. Like we said, most do not come from there, so they're kind of displaced from around the nation, and they don't have a real sense of community pride or even understanding of what Boys Ranch does. And they need that for kind of a buy-in for their placement and for their success. So it's really important that they build a connection to the, kind of their new home for their overall success. So that's why we added that community aspect to it. Our driving question to them will be, what can we learn from other people's inspiring stories of resilience that we might be able to use in our own lives and communicate through a multimedia celebration for our community? So that's going to be their kind of end result, as they're going to put on a celebration of resilience and invite the entire community. Students will explore together through music, art, literature. There will be class readings that we will be reading that all the main characters have had to push through and have had some type of resilience. This will be cross-curricular that involves English and social studies.
And in social studies, the students are going to connect a resilient historical figure and a resilient community member to their own personal story of resilience through a multimedia project, which will be their choice.
And in English, we will connect that resilient character from the class readings with their personal story. And poetry is something that's in that STAR test really heavy and that most kids kind of have a hard time with. So we're going to have accomplish our project through our artistic representation of spoken word poetry. The eighth grade class will then honor the resilient community members by inviting them to an afternoon community celebration where those spoken word performances and artistic projects are presented. And part of the students' overall project-based learning will be to be able to plan it, prepare for it, and then showcase their work. So an example of their planning process might be sending out an invitation that I did on Lucifer's. This is an example. And if you notice on there, on the event flyer, guests are asked to bring a donated item or a personal hygiene product to incorporate that charity aspect, because we want them to understand that resilience is an inner drive, but we get that inner drive through help from others, and to kind of pass and pay that forward to others that are struggling. So that would be an example of part of their preparation process. At Boys Ranch, we have the unique opportunity. They have their own little channel on their in their community, and a big marquee, and lots of, especially in Amarillo, lots of advertisement news stations that support us. So that is also in our idea of teacher idea. We would like our students to contact and help bring those aspects into their preparation to kind of invite the overall large community.
There's also going to be continual checkpoints and feedback through the project so we can ensure that the groups and the individuals are maintaining their focus and achieving mastery. I perceive this might even take 8 weeks by the time we truly get into historical figures and study about the Old Tascosa and the community and get the kids to buy into it. And then Mrs. Yarbrough would also, because of her novel, she's going to have extended time to have to do that characters.
And throughout we'll have checkpoints and timelines. I have a class blog that will be blogging our progress, blogging some ideas or some, in my class we'll have journals where they'll journal maybe their tough days, kind of like that Freedom Writers type of setup, and they will have timelines of weekly, we have to turn that in. So it keeps them in progress and in check. Some overall examples of what they might present at this community celebration. Obviously, my students will be doing some type of poetry, whether it's through artistic theatrical representations or just a poem that they've said. And then through hers, she'll have a lot more of the murals and artifacts and guides through that. So they're going to be presenting all sorts of things. We have kind of an example of what we would like to maybe see our students present as a poem or a slam poem. We won't watch all of it, just a quick little 30 seconds.
Ever had something happen to you that altered your life or the way you see the world? Life isn't a standstill after tragedy. Loss is finally stirred and trapped the gems of past memories, so much so that we lose and overlook the deepest parts of who we are. I'm sure you've experienced pain, since all human bodies are made of water, a single heart swimming in oceans of uncertainty, overwhelmed by the pitter-patter and zip-zip.
Now, obviously, she's really great, but that's kind of the end result of life, what kind of in our heads foresee our kids get into. Even for her, it's like the Glockster, they can use that as just a quick technology way to incorporate our community member that is important to our community.
I don't know if y'all ever used Glockster before, but it's kind of like having an animated poster board because you can incorporate pictures and video and audio. So I mean, a kid can put together whatever they want to showcase their resilient figure. And these are all hyperlinked where they could then go and the audio.
Cal Farley is the founder and president of America's first boys ranch. It would not be honest even if I could.
Hear Cal Farley's voice.
The ranch is what it stands for in my life. And in these things.
And then also there you can click on a web link for a movie. This was actually a little movie they put together back in '46 with so with the purpose of all of these being posted, well that didn't work, all of these being posted on the website, or creating this Weebly and having these other things to where the community can constantly log in and see what we're doing, and it will be hopefully a year-to-year activity that we do to where the kids will be fully involved and get engaged in our community, because like I said, they're from all over the United States, and to make that personal connection to this, so they understand where are you living at, where did you come from, where are you at now. That's why it's important.
Each link, we also have finally links, because our students do have very limited technology, because our population is the population of the regular school districts that had the poverty issues, did not have the access to the technology. So we already anticipate that they're going to need some resources and tutorials of how to use these. So up on the Weebly, we'll have student resources that they can plug in and look at as many times as they need it, or whenever they need to do so. And lastly, we have a resilience celebration, and that is where we hope to take pictures and to video record the event to have it posted. That way they can even share it with their parents that live in New York or wherever, so they can see it. And like we said, the channel, the Boys Ranch channel, so the regular other community members or other kids that are in elementary or high school could see it as well.
And we perceive this Weebly being controlled by the teachers because of privacy issues with some of our children. not allowing to have the last names published or pictures, so we'll have to control that part. But the kids are doing the work, they're creating the projects, and so it's really ultimately their showcase out to the world.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Thanks, you guys. I have loved learning more about the Boys Ranch from you guys. I never knew anything about it before this week.
Yes, it's really interesting.
Yes, it is. I hope you keep in
It's a
touch with
wonderful
me.
place to teach. I've been there for 25 years.
Oh, wow. I would love to do that. I want you to broadcast it. All right, don't forget to evaluate bent but not broken.
Okay, break for karaoke. Y'all ready?
Yes, go.
That's right up my
Go.
I don't know what's holding you back. Yeah. All right, it looks like all but about 2 of the evaluations are in, so you guys are ready. You can go whenever you're ready.
I'm Aletha Worley. I am a 6th grade science teacher at Highland Park Middle School.
I'm Rebecca McCallips. I teach physics at Amarillo High School.
I'm Valerie Roberts. I teach art and design at Pampa Middle School.
I want a microphone.
Junior high, sorry, they changed it.
Okay, I want a microphone so I can feel important. My husband preaches all the time. I want to know what it feels like to be a preacher. No. My name is Kendra Rodriguez. I work at the junior high. Rooms right beside the art teacher. I do keyboarding, and I will be doing yearbook for the first time. Everybody tells me they're sorry, but I'll be doing yearbook. Kids call me K-Rod though. So if you ever hear about K-Rod, that's me.
I am Cami Southall, and I teach 6th and 7th grade science at Border Middle School. I'd like to say welcome to everybody, and thank you for coming and watching us present. We have had a wonderful week. We have loved this project. We've loved all working together because we're mostly from different schools, and we've made some good friends. We are going to, first of all, show you how we are going to snag our students into this project, and then I'll talk a little bit more.
Okay, so we are looking at introducing a unit to the 6th grade science kids on force, motion, energy, speed, physics, and we want students to be able to research and build a roller coaster simulation. Okay.
Turn your volume on.
Thank you. Had to meet her early.
That turned out neat, you guys. Oh.
Okay, so first of all, it was important to me it was important to me to know exactly what project-based learning is. And it's a dynamic classroom approach in which students actively explore real-world problems and challenges to acquire deeper knowledge. So we wanted to challenge the students. And it was a challenge ourselves because we come from such different subjects. So we had to incorporate physics, science, keyboarding, and art into a project. Our guiding question was, can you scare us? Can you create a scream-worthy roller coaster? And how can you increase the scream factor?
Okay, and so then that would bring us to our introduction on our unit for energy, physics, force and motion, and speed. And the students are going to use the science time to build a simulation roller coaster that is going to try to scare us. They'll be researching vocabulary words, and then they'll use formulas to go ahead and build their roller coaster simulation. And they can use any computer application software that they want to build the roller coaster on the computer simulation. And then once they've done that, then they will actually use, we're going to have Kinects, we'll have pool noodles, we'll have Legos, and then they can use anything else that they want to use to actually build the roller coaster and make a scale model of it. And they're going to pull in prior knowledge of simple machines, and they're going to design the roller coaster, and they will incorporate science teaks for force, motion, energy, and physics.
So my physics students are juniors. They're going to come in a couple of times while the 6th grade students are making the project, just to be the experts, to help them with anything they need. And then the day that the real roller coasters are actually presented, my physics students will come and measure mass, height. They're actually going to have to solve for the kinetic energy and the potential energy, the gravitational force of the object. So by the time her students are ready to present, my students should be ready to use the formulas and calculate those things.
Okay, with technical difficulties. My students, by this time, they've already learned keyboarding, so they're just going to be redoing their keyboarding skills. And with that, they're also going to learn how to navigate around the internet when they develop their sites. They're going to be doing research in my class. And I already do this with most of my classes once we finish keyboarding, just so when they go to their other classes, instead of saying, I don't know how to do this, they can say, oh yeah, we learned this in K-Rod's class, this is how we do it. So that's where I'm at. Most of my TEKs are covered by the first 12 weeks of school. So I just try to go into TEKs that they would need for 7th, 8th grade if there were computer classes available to them in our school.
And the way I would integrate art and design, I want to talk to the kids about how creativity could increase, creativity and imagination in design, especially environmental design, could increase the screen factor. How sensory integration, if they build a roller coaster and have a good theme like Shark Attack, how they could use their creativity in the environment to make it scarier, to make that screen factor go up. So in my class, they would be designing the environment that they would actually put their physical roller coaster into. Also the advertising, the sign that goes on the front of your roller coaster, flyers, posters, special tickets that could be passed out in the school to come see the roller coasters in the classrooms.
Okay, we have quite an eclectic group, and I just wanted to include how we can bring 7th grade into this. They wouldn't be directly involved in the project itself, but they would be invited in as judges for the roller coasters. And with that, we can go a couple of different routes with 7th grade, either with the force and motion and energy as a review and adding in additional vocabulary and terms and concepts that they get in 7th grade, or we can use it as an introduction to body systems and the nervous system and how it works and how it reacts to the stimulus. Our house was built as an example of what a student's product might be. We used wicks to build it. We gave the students, the 6th graders, about 2 weeks for the project. We limited it to the 2 weeks because they would be working in, the science class, art, as well as keyboarding. And you'll see that you can also easily incorporate math and ELA into this project as well.
Okay, so the first thing that we want to talk about on our website that the students built, we as teachers would provide them with links like we were provided to the different things like the team contract, to the peer evaluations, to anything that they would need to do this project, to organize it. And then they can also incorporate those things into the website. So for me, I'm going to talk about the team contract. This student decided that they were going to actually put a copy of the team contract on their website so that anybody that went to the website would see all the processes that they went through.
Okay, also we have on there, for sake of time, we also have on here vocabulary words. And we did it kind of like they did in class. They'd have so many words they'd have to come up with. They'd click on a word, and then they would have a video available to watch. It's hard to do this with 2 hands. Okay, to watch for those who wanted to view it. So they developed videos through Animoto that would show the vocabulary words that they learned. And they would have so many words per subject that they would have to develop. So they wouldn't just have 2. They would have several videos on here that would show that.
Okay, so I made an invitation for the 7th graders and for the administrators and for parents to come and view when we actually see the project. I used some more, and our group we call Team Scream. And I put a picture of the one that we plan to build. I'm not sure if the students would actually get to build that one as well. And then it just gives when and where and how to get there if you need it. You can also print these out on a flyer, and we could have mailed them out to parents or sent them home with parents, handed them out to the 7th graders. And then this would also be in our house just so that the teacher could pull that up and reference it.
And in the science class, we were going to build a roller coaster simulation. We chose Minecraft to do. And we would actually want them to use the computer program first to build the roller coaster to make sure that it works before they actually built the physical scale model.
And on the Minecraft, her son built one that we could never get to upload to this, and it only took him maybe like, an hour to do it. So these kids know what they're doing.
And then there's an actual example of a built roller, the actual physical model.
Okay, the last part of this, after the students present, there is a link on that the teacher would have given them for the polling to judge on the roller coasters, and they linked it to their website. So that the 7th grade, the other 6th graders can vote on the best and the biggest and the scariest roller coaster.
So we just made up some groups, some names that kids might name their roller coaster, and then the judges would actually get to vote on which one they thought was the scariest. I think that's it. Are there any questions?
I want you guys to tell everybody how you used her son as your tech support. Yesterday they asked a question of me. Finally, I'm like, it's kind of weird. I don't think you guys have asked me a question really all week. And she said, well, I got frustrated with my son and I had to hang up on him. So. That's really awesome. They had him at home working all week. So. Yeah, tell him thanks for us too. That was him up there. You should have brought him in. All right, don't forget to evaluate scream factor. Scream factor. But if you called it Mission Impossible, that's all right too, because I'll know what you mean. All right, our last team. What does it matter? Yes, that's it. Well, let me submit my deal. Huh? It's not let you submit. I wonder if you lost it.
Yes, I did.
It is, isn't it? You know, but it's wild because this computer has been solid connected the whole time broadcasting. We've never lost connection. Seems to be highly dependent on what operating system. You need help moving it to
Thank you.
Yeah, that screen is really nice, but my neck is killing me from looking up like that.
Yeah. It didn't have a stretch and look. You're not on yourself. It stops at 41. There we go. I'm trying to submit the deal for the transfer. Stitch right. I'm scared.
All right, we only have a few more evals that need to come in, so you guys can start whenever you're ready.
That would be mine.
That would be yours.
Because
it won't go. All right then.
And it says it's on now.
Well, we'll just get yours whenever we get it.
Are you doing your phone? Take it off Wi-Fi. Well, it was off Wi-Fi, and it wouldn't work at all. So then I got back on Wi-Fi, and now it's not flipping out of it. It's at least staying on the survey. So I don't know what's going on. It's been working fine until now.
Yes, they're coming in. We're only missing a few, so it's working for most people. All right, you guys go when you're ready.
Okay, we're ready. Hello, I'm Cindy Quirk, and this is Roy Garrison and Brianna Morrison. We all teach at Dumas ISD. We are all 4th grade teachers of math and science. And we did our project-based learning demonstration featuring the 3 states of matter.
And after several false starts, true learning process and action, we decided to give the 4th grade students the problem of a 3rd grade teacher requesting that the 4th grade help teach the 3rd grade the properties of the 3 main states of matter.
We have all created an age-appropriate webpage to establish the problem and driving questions, media possibilities, a place to link their products, expectations, a way to contact the teacher, links to technological tools, and a final publication and use page.
It's fine, I'm gonna yeah, okay. We'll try that again. And we will apologize in advance to y'all. We had no idea how much of Mission Impossible. So we walked in at 4:30 yesterday and went, oh, well, everybody gets to hear it twice. We'll go back.
Reactive music outcome.
Always gonna have that little punch right there at the end. Okay, that is actually our little hook for our kids to show them what their mission is and what we're going to be doing on this project. We have an about little section in our, we use Weebly as our home, and this is our about page, and it shows the problem, and it also shows the driving question for our kiddos if they need to go back and kind of reflect or think back about what am I supposed to be doing here. It also has on here buttons that the kids can access our email accounts to where if they have a question, a concern, or a comment, that they can send us a quick little email, and then we can answer them back and maybe solve their problem for them. Also, after we send out information to parents on how they can access the website for the Weebly, then they can also come in and help their student if they take something home to work on, and then the parents can look at this site, this part of the site, and see what the problem is and what their student's supposed to be working on.
Okay, and our whole home was done on Weebly, and it is specifically designed as the full project containment site. This is what the kids will see, this is what they'll work on, so that they can go through and know where everything is. So any project-based learning project that we give them will be set up like this, so it'll be a repetitive thing that they become more and more familiar and can work through it much faster. Going on to the contract page, the contracts page is important to setting up the student expectations, and the students should be encouraged to refer back to these links really often. Looking at your team contract, and I use the one provided, and we would kind of tweak it to fit. They would establish their team roles, and we would pick the groups according to ability, needs, contribution, ability. And then they can pick their role in the project, decide what their jobs will be. Everybody signs that. Our deadlines is set up on an interactive calendar that the teachers will be doing. They can go through. This is actually ours for this week. So we knew that on Tuesday we were going to be here from 9 to 4 working on this. And at the end of the day at 4 o'clock we had an outline that was due to be turned in. And this would be set up like that for the students, so they can always go at home, at school. Their parents can stay on top of that also. The grading rubric, we will tell them to go back and look at this really often. This will contain the guidelines for your grade on this project. Each section will be worth up to 4 points, 0 points for no input, up to 4 points for awesome input. I will add all the points for each participation element with a possible total of 60 points. This will be one of your grades for the project. This will also be compared to your team evaluation percentage for another grade for this project. Your grade is in your hands. Then it is written as a student age appropriate description of what we're looking for. So when they're looking at this, they know, well, if I'm not working well with others, I'm only going to get 1 point. So keep in mind when we set up this website, it is set up with a 4th grade aim, not a teacher aim. Project evaluation form, this is for the end of the project, just raising not only the students' self-awareness, but also developing us professionally so that they know what they've gathered, but they could tell us how we could do it better also. Who's next?
We created a More button. It's to provide a spot where the work would be turned in, where teacher examples would be kept, and where all the final links would be housed for the 3rd grade classrooms.
This goes into the example. This will be where the students actually can pick from the different media that are available. They can do a printable poster, animated, cartoon page, video songs, etc. So when they decide what kind of project they want to do, they can go to their assigned group and go down, and once they've established what they're going to do, they will link it back to that button that I can pull up and look at their project. For example, this would be a visual representation. It's not good. This might be for one of our lower levels that the English is not well developed. So we're doing some very basic images and very basic ideas. The solid being the molecules close together, loosely attached. So that would be something that could be used. If they need, it gives them, this is what this is. If they need an example, there's just kind of a quick idea. That might be one of the links that they might use. And they go, oh, okay, now I know what I'm going to do. It just kind of is a Kickstarter for them.
In this link, in the animated cartoon pages, there's a teacher-provided example so the students can get a basic concept of what an animated cartoon could look like, and we just used what our driving question and problem was. I didn't want to give them too many ideas because I find that at the 4th grade level, they have a tendency just to copy what the teacher did. So I just wanted to show them this is an example of a animated cartoon. Then down here, again, we have our group buttons. If they choose to do this type of project, then they can activate their link, and this is more of a higher level GT type student where they created this cartoon.
Y'all know how these work?
We're afraid we're going to run out of time.
Also, they'll have choices of like videos or making songs. Again, we have a little sample that they could look at to maybe come up with an idea. And this is, what is this? Is this a flip book?
It's a PowerPoint.
Oh, it's a PowerPoint. Okay, yeah. So a little bit of a PowerPoint for the kids to see that they can look at and say, oh, okay, I can do a PowerPoint. Most kids, yeah, they can do PowerPoints. Pretty easy. Our kids are mainly Title I, and so our kids are very limited on computer skills, so we try to give them as much facility. Here's an example of hopefully a student sample of what they came up with. So a little video.
I love this little guy right here. Oh, he is into it, isn't he?
I did notice when I was looking at that, that was created by a first and second grade GT class. I was like, ah! This is your tube, okay. Also, they might make a book or make foldables. We did another example for them to look at. This was another PowerPoint. There it goes. And then hopefully a student example. And I'm going to go ahead and let this one show because she put this together, and I would really hope this would be what our students would do. This would be a lesson that could be presented that the third grade teacher actually could be almost hands-off with this, following the instructions. All she would have to be there was to facilitate kind of supplies and stuff, maybe guidance for an SE. Important note, cut only the front flap. Okay, so in the interest of time, we get down to the final products. This would actually be the centralized location for their final products. This would be what you would instruct the staff, the students, parents. This is going to be where their final product is, so they're not having to go all over this and hunt where this was. Well, button 1 wouldn't open up, but on this page, these are your final products. It has your YouTube wrap, your image poster, your Powtoon presentation, your foldable project slides. So the teacher, when she goes into this, can ask the students, hey, what would y'all be interested in watching today to learn about states of matter? The last thing, this would be for assistance of the students. We listed the different technological tools that we use. These would be things that we would take our computer time during the week. We might do tutorials for those real quick little assignments just for a usage mini lesson. Then when we came back, say, remember when we worked on this, you can use these different tools to perform this product. And that is it. Any questions? Thank you all for your time.
All right, let's evaluate what does it matter, and then I will tell you the scores. I'll show you that too. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I've got one of those in school. I need to write my name on it. They are expensive and people forget. I mean, I don't mean to steal them out late, but yeah. Like you do a pen. Yeah, you just walk off with it. And then you're like, where did I put this? I don't know.